world. Thanks for rocking with me for a quick second. It's a bit weird, but I'm on my way to a group ride with my cycling club in the 1st of February. So, that's a little weird in itself, but we're going to get it in real quick. You saw the title. The Kansas City Chiefs. I got my all red on. Were they cheated in the AFC Championship game Sunday evening? Were they cheated? And nobody cared about it. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I gotta keep it funky. I'm not trying to be a hater, but as bad as my team stink and have stunk for years, I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to see anybody leave that fraternity of the organization, the franchises that stink. So quietly, Cincinnati was who I thought had a good I thought it was going to be, I thought the Bills and Cincinnati go to the Super Bowl. I really did. But Cincinnati was somebody I had my eye on from earlier in the year as a Super Bowl team, and then they got beat by the Jets. It was early, and I was like, well, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I only saw, this play was kind of swept under the rug until I saw an article on it today. It was on Yahoo Sports, and I haven't seen the big channels and the big First Take and NFL Network. I haven't seen much time spent on this, but that play at the end of the game where we don't know what the hell happened because Jim Nantz and Romo, they didn't talk about it. They acted like they didn't really know what was going on. But at the end of that game, when Joe Mixon ran the football, it was a rushing attempt, and he went to the ground after coming into contact with his own player, and when he got up, it was like he thought he'd been tackled or he was down by contact, and he just let go of the ball, and the Kansas City Chiefs picked it up. This is an OT. I think this is an overtime, and they kicked the field goal and won it. But Coach Reed called a timeout because he wanted to talk to the referees about, hey, we recovered that fumble. But like I said, Jim Nantz, Romo, they were talking about something else, and nobody dealt with the fact that Joe Mixon dropped the ball. And so, it is what it is now. The Bengals are going to the Super Bowl, but I'm dumbfounded how that play was not reviewed when they showed the replay, and you could see that Joe Mixon was knocked down by his own player. But the word was in the Yahoo article that I read earlier, the response from the league was that Joe Mixon gave himself up. Come on, man. Come on now. You don't trip over your own player or get knocked down by your teammate, and that's the same action as you giving yourself up. That was not a situation where he gave himself up. But for some reason or the other, I guess in the frenzy of the moment, during that frenzy, and knowing that the game was pretty much decided so long as the field goal kick went through, I guess if somebody was asleep at the wheel. And we know I believe in overtime, all plays are reviewed by New York, right? And anything is initiated by New York. But I think the Chiefs and them got screwed. And, and I'm not going to sit here all up in arms about it because, they were up 21-3, right? Now, and I didn't throw the disclaimer out there, but I went out for a ride. If you mess with the channel, you see that I went out for a ride about 30 or 20 minutes before the game started, and I only got back in the probably with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So I wasn't even aware of a lot of the details of the game, but you know, here's a situation where the Chiefs have went to 3 or 4 straight AFC Championship games, 2 Super Bowl trips, and you know, this play that the league that the ball got dropped on and nobody seems to care. There's nothing they can do now. You know, obviously there's nothing they can do now, but I was just dumbfounded that nobody brought it up, and I didn't see anything about it until today. Now, I'm in a room full of, I have my in-laws over and my wife. They're all clearly rooting for the Bengals. We live an hour north of Cincinnati. But again, as a Washington football, well, whatever our name is going to be tomorrow, Commanders, Admirals, whatever. I don't want any team that has been a long time travesty to all of a sudden put it together, because we can't seem to draft us a damn quarterback. So yes, I'm hating. But anyway, going to the Super Bowl, honestly, I think they beat the Rams. I really do. I know the Rams might look better. They have the veterans. We know that Cincinnati's line is terrible, and that should play into one of the major strengths of the Los Angeles Rams. But I just think when you get a lucky bounce like that, all the eyes and all the cameras and all the people off site don't even catch this obvious fumble. I think that's a precursor or an omen that I think Cincinnati gonna get this thing. And I just think, you know, this young group of kids, man, they just that's what I saw in them earlier in the year, just in having a ace QB like Joey B. And the rapport that they seem to have, the skill guys that they have, and the way that they feed off one another, that's just that chemistry. You know, that's what the Giants had when they took down the Patriots. I'm trying to think if there's another team that got hot like that. Pittsburgh might have done it one year. I can't remember, but I know that the team that I just mentioned, I'm in here trying to watch all this traffic because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. But yeah, they just got that vibe right. The Giants, they just got that vibe right now as a team that they can do anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Rams. And the Rams, you know, Matt Stafford still has to prove to us that he's shaking off the losing ways of the Lions. You saw he tried to get a game away last week until Tart dropped the obvious easy interception. So I don't even know what the line is right now, but I think Cincinnati's gonna win it. The other part of the title, I've been listening to this. I've been trying to really take this song to the lab. This Uncle or Johnny P's Cadillac. I'll probably come back and talk about this separately too. But you know, obviously with it being Benny the Butcher and J. Cole, you know, we got to talk about who had the best verse. And I don't know. I'm trying to see if I'm just being the hater that I tend to be, or the critic that I tend to be, or the lone wolf. Shout out to NFL Network, you know, that I tend to be. But it's just not by default for me that J. Cole got that he got Benny the Butcher on that song. And I say it like this. What throws me off, because I do a little bit of writing. I key in on words, and I'm just a little, when J. Cole tells me all these dudes ain't as hard as I am, I kind of don't know I don't know how to interpret that. Like, how is J. Cole like really hard? So I sum it up with the fact that I think J. Cole's verse on the song is really like metaphorical. It's a metaphor, but it's a lot of really real talk in what I'm hearing from Benny the Butcher, because he's talking about what I've sat here and watched unfold for him and Griselda over the last 6 years since I first heard My First Brick by Benny the Butcher. I already heard some West Side Gun stuff, but yeah, I'm just trying to understand, how am I supposed to look at J. Cole as really being hard? I understand that he rhymes extremely well and that his bars are, among the best. I get all of that, but I'm still just like, what am I listening to here? Because the other part that he goes into right around that part in his verse, he's talking about y'all he said these guns and this dope that y'all relying, these constantly talking about this coke rap and these guns that y'all rely on in y'all's lyrics. Who relies on that more than Griselda? So, but we know he's not questioning how real or whatever Benny the Butcher is. But that's just an interesting line to throw in here to try to puff your chest up and declare what you are and talk about people that's lying in their raps. Then my other thing is like, J. Cole is like, you might be hard industry-wise, like you've been in a couple of battles on the mic and you've done all these features and you've held your own, or you've outshined whoever the streets might have been saying was hard. But like, again, when I look at Griselda, like, these dudes have, figuratively speaking, they've single-handedly as a team, that was the first group of guys that came back and said, we're gonna be New York. We're gonna play New York ball and take it to a higher level. I've been talking about Skyzoo for years. I can't tell you a partner of mine who's ever really, taking Skyzoo seriously. It is a couple of dudes who are starting to understand who Conway the Machine and Benny the Butcher are, because they're that good. They've also been co-signed or embraced by Jay-Z as like passing the baton to these guys. They don't have the record sales yet. Their social media numbers really don't jump off the charts or nothing like that. But they have totally rebuilt what New York has always tried to do, and they've put their own spin on it. I've even said they've even kind of ran with, when they were really just strictly working with Derringer and then bringing in Alchemist, they've really just kind of taken on what Wu-Tang Clan did. But it's Buffalo though. But I don't know, man. When I listened to the song probably 10 or 15 times, I don't know. I can't really say that J. Cole is really getting the best of Benny on the song. I just can't. Because you can be, perfect example. We can look at Cooper Kupp. Almost 2,000 yards, 1,970, 1,960, or whatever it was, 150 some receptions, or 147 receptions, or whatever. And then we can go look at Megatron's 1,980 yards, or whatever it was, maybe 120 receptions. They both got the same numbers at the end of the year. I don't know the touchdowns between the two, but phenomenal numbers for both. But they did it differently. So, would you take Cooper Kupp as your wide receiver, or would you take Megatron as your wide receiver? It's kind of splitting hairs like that. But I don't know. I just feel like in that particular song, I feel like Benny's verses are more impactful for me, because it's a group of guys that just really got it out the mud. And we saw last year, J. Cole is talking about I'm the young boy walking with lions. Again, that's a metaphor. That's some industry stuff. You sitting here talking about, again, I'm rapping against all these other dudes who spit and I'm better than all of them. But we just saw last year that Benny the Butcher was just shot down in Houston. He was just shot in the leg and robbed. They tried to rob him or whatever. It's just, they just in two different worlds to me. And I just think what I'm hearing in Benny, when I'm hearing him talk his stuff on there, it's just more impactful for me. But again, I don't take anything away from J. Cole. He probably, one of my favorite artists out there by far. But I think the one thing, and another thing that shines for me for Benny the Butcher is, you take a lot of dudes, you take a lot of cats from the streets, and the farther that when they do get a little bit of success and they get away from the streets, they get away from the game, they get away from the hustle, they really don't have anything to rap about. They really don't, without that pressure, without the tension, without that stress of being in the streets and being around all that activity, once they get removed from that, they really don't have nothing to rhyme about. 50 Cent is a perfect example. 50 Cent's job right now is to create new television shows every 3 to 6 months. But you hear a verse from 50 Cent tomorrow, 50 Cent is going to be talking about homicides and drive-by shootings and like shit that he's not even connected to anymore. But that's what he's going to try to rap about. And his lyrics, when he's rapping now, his lyrics, his verses just sound empty now because you the TV guy. You're not the rapper guy. You the TV guy now. What are you talking about? He don't have nothing else to rap about. But Benny is showing you here and spitting with up alongside J. Cole. Benny is like, look, I got vocabulary. I'm talking about validity, imagery. Something he said about he said something about moving like a feline cat or something, or something he said. He's showing you that he can take his world and still do the rap thing with it. I can still give you some lyrics. I can still give you some entendres. I don't really just have to talk about guns and dope. I do that because that's his go-to. But you can tell that. Now the thing for Benny is this, when Jay-Z came out and was talking the street stuff, there was reason for Jay-Z to switch up and make a club joint here and there, or a club anthem here and there. That was that period. There's really no, rappers really ain't doing that nowadays. Really ain't nobody really trying to make no street joint. I mean, no club song. Cause hell, we've been locked up for 3 years, so ain't nobody going to a club. But club records ain't really the thing right now. So Benny's not gonna be forced to do that. But you saw with The Moment of Truth, I think was the name of the project. Again, you seeing that he's branching out and trying to make other records besides just straightforward guns and dope. Obviously, this is for Tana Talk 4, this single, or this record is gonna be on Tana Talk 4. So it's gonna be a return to what he does the most, and that's that street stuff. But again, anybody born 1995 and after is probably just by default J. Cole won. And don't get me wrong, J. Cole got a hell of a delivery. J. Cole got a certain texture to his voice where like he got this little growl to him. That kind of connects all his words together. He gets into that line when he starts talking about the last of the Mohicans. Ain't no weaklings in my sneakers, and he does that. He spits. But like I said, a lot of his verse for me is metaphor. And metaphor is one of the, that's one of the qualities or one of the skills that really allow different artists to stand out. It is. But like I said, for me, Benny just sat there in his minute and 20 seconds or whatever. Benny sat there and just walked you through what Griselda and himself as Black soprano family. He just sits here and documents their rise the past 6 years and how they changed everything. The other thing is this, and I gotta get ready to get off of here because I gotta get ready for this ride. I really would like to know if Benny sent him his song, sent J. Cole the song with his verse as is on there. And then, because Benny opens up with something about how I mastered physics. He says this is how I mastered physics. And then J. Cole, when he gets on out of there, he says something about Einstein's theory and relativity or something, yada, yada, yada. So that just, for me, if you get the song second, that's like getting the ball. That's like getting the losing. I mean, that's like winning the coin toss and deferring the kickoff. I'm gonna put my offense on the field. I'm gonna put my defense on the field first. We take the ball in the second half. It's the same concept to me. But that's just my take on it. Like I said, I can imagine. I do have another thought on the line about Jesus. You know, if I would have, I'd probably go to hell if Jesus asked for a feature. Again, anybody born 1995 and later, I'm wondering if you've even read the Bible and seen any of the quotes that are attributed, the scripture that's attributed to Jesus, to really understand kind of how dope that line really is. If you don't just look at the fact that he mentioned Jesus, but if, like I said, if you looked at any of the scripture that's attributed to as Jesus actually speaking it, he had bars, really, if you read it. So, but anyway, let me get on off here. I got to get out here and get this little ride in and whatnot. Again, man, the Chiefs, that's crazy for you to be a team of that magnitude, because obviously I think the NFL would prefer to have Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl instead of the Cincinnati Bengals. I do. But I think we all gonna watch anyway. I think the Bengals are a great story. Another thing before I do get off here though, I saw something earlier in the week. It's some conflicting stories out there, because one of the knocks against Eric Bieniemy and getting a head coaching job, one of the knocks is that he doesn't call the plays. So I heard some audio this week of Andy Reid where he was saying that Bieniemy does call the plays. But then after the AFC Championship game, I hear some comments from Andy Reid and others where it was like Andy Reid was calling the plays. So it's just like, it's hard for me to get out here and go to war, go take it to the mattress for Eric Bieniemy when I really don't know who the hell, I don't know what his role is. I don't know how hands-on he is with everything. And I think that's going to continue to be the questions that people have about him. You know, when it is overtime, when it is the AFC Championship game, who's calling the damn plays? You know, we see Andy Reid over there doing his thing. Who's calling the plays? So who's doing the install? Who's doing the games? Who's designing the plays? So I don't know. And you damn sure not gonna lead the Chiefs to go work with, to go to another team and be their offensive coordinator to try to prove it was really me and not Andy. You're gonna stay right here and go to the AFC, especially when you have all the pieces that you have and the quarterback that you have. You're not gonna walk away from that unless you go into the head coach spot. But I'm just saying, I think, and that's another thing is that they said, the story came out, a lot of these teams, they don't wait until the playoffs are over before they select their coach. So you have the best, in theory, you have the best offensive and defensive coordinators and special team coordinators. The best guys are still in the playoffs. But you don't hire them. You hire the guys who just recently got beat and knocked out of the playoffs. Those are the guys who tend to get the job. So it's like, what general manager that's worth his salt? Why wouldn't you just wait and get the guy who was just part of the winning team. But I guess the thinking is we can't wait. I want my guy in here. We couldn't get who we wanted, but this dude right here was solid enough. We need to get our strategy going for our draft picks. We need to get our guy in here and start narrowing down who our targets are, who we want to bring in. We got to get our staff together. So I could imagine that some teams just don't want to sit still and lose those 2 or 3 weeks. What, this is a 2-week gap before the Super Bowl, after the championship games and whatnot. So I could imagine it's you might as well be the wide receiver coach or the the running back coach, because you got a better opportunity that maybe, it's okay if you lead the team early and go, report to your new team and whatnot. But I don't know, man. It's a tough deal for Eric Bieniemy. Again, I've never heard the brother speak. Supposedly he doesn't interview well. But if you've been doing interviews for 3 or 4 years now, I mean, damn, you don't get better every year at it? You don't know, you don't take no notes and remember what the questions are and get better at laying your vision out and whatnot? Or is he just, quote unquote, the dumb jock who can't communicate and can't express himself in a way to where he gets the love that Mike Tomlin got when he was in there at 34 years old? I don't know. Anyway, I just had to rap real quick till I got to my destination. I'm about to get out here and rip up these streets a little bit. If somebody else shows up, maybe everybody said they changed their mind. Let me get out of here. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Peace.